when we're looking at struggling with a twingy back, we need to first understand what sort of movements are potentially triggering that, and is there any obvious awkwardness or imbalance in terms of your ability to move around the spine from one side to the other. So we'll start off. I'm sitting on the ball so it's a bit more obvious that there's any movement going, but you can do this just sat on a chair, arms resting over your shoulders. What you want to be aware of, not only as we rotate to the left, not only is the ability to move, so the quality of that movement, is it very easy, how far we're going. Obviously if there's any twinging or tension, then not forcing through that, to be aware of for now, but also what's happening to your balance. So you may feel that as you rotate you get a shift on the hip, so one leg moves out, or what's often hidden without you realising it is that you'll shift all of your weight over onto one hip. So compare that rotation. As an example right now, which you might be able to see, is that I'm able to rotate further around to my left than I can to my right, but at least that's feeling evenly balanced. Next one, tilt forwards from the hips. So you're keeping an arch, strong arch in your back. So from the side, tilting from the hips. And again, that should feel so you get stuck around the hip. And then we can do a rotation. Again, compare that ability to move one side to the other. So again, tilt forwards. Rotate, but this time I'm also going to be flexing forwards, drawing the elbow down between the legs. That should feel as if the movement is just the ribs drawing down towards the hip. And the other side. Tilt, rotate, flexing forwards. Okay, now having just done those, that already feels as if my back is loosening off, so as I rotate, you may notice that there's less of that awkwardness around the right side now. And then the last one I'm going to look at is a side bend. So you rotate to your left, side bend left, and this is one we're more likely to notice that you shift your weight over, so it has to be that rotation, and then you're drawing the ribs down. And the same on the other side. Drawing those ribs down. Okay, so we're looking at those different movements there and what obvious variation we have from one side to the other. And then we'll work on a bit of activation around that. Okay, so for the activation, what we're looking at is just that gentle ability. We're not trying to force anything. So I'll use the example on the right side each time here. So I've got the elastic which is attached behind me. So as I slowly rotate to my right, I want to feel a bit of effort across that right side of the torso. I'm not trying to force it, gently taking it there and back out. Rotate and back. Obviously if you're doing this sat down in a chair, it's going to feel a little bit more stable, there'll be less effort around the hips. Nice and smooth. You may even find that you start getting a little bit more movement already just from doing that, but you're not taking it to a point where you're getting any tension, awkwardness, discomfort, any twinging. It's all just within what feels comfortable. Okay. Now if you notice that the limitation was actually when you were tilting forwards and rotating, almost exactly the same, except of course you then tilt forwards first and then we're rotating. That same steady movement, not forcing anything. Just being aware of the effort around the middle. Often what happens is we tend to dominate across the left side even though we're rotating to the right. So make sure we are feeling some of that effort across the right side. That's not quite the same though if we're doing the flex forwards. So although we've got a right rotation this time, so we should tilt forwards, rotate, but if it was on the flexion forwards, now the effort's going to be across the left side as I draw that down. And if you don't feel as much additional resistance, you can always have your elastic attached higher up. It's quite a small movement. Let's do this one. So you're always drawing the ribs straight down towards the pelvis. So with the side bend, we've got a couple of things we do. First of all, we've got the rotation and the side bend. But as I do that, I can feel there's not really anything going on from the side bend issue at all. So this is where we do need to have it higher up. So we rotate and side bend, drawing those ribs straight down towards the pelvis. Keep that weight balance even over both hips. So easy just to lean your body weight on this one. Really focus, drawing the ribs down towards the pelvis. Okay. Now the other thing with the side bend is you also want to be doing an opposite rotation to that side bend. So that one, the rotation itself is actually easy if you're rotating towards it. And that's the side bend is where you have the demand. Okay, and again, with this one, if I change my angle, that now feels as if I actually having to put some effort into the side bend because that line of effort is through the elastic itself. So rotating towards it, side bend, like drawing down. Side bending away, drawing the ribs down towards the pelvis. Always that smooth, steady movement, not forcing anything. I'm aiming to do about 6 repetitions on any of those. That's all based on what feels limited when you first check the movements. Okay, so we're looking at getting those muscles around the spine and your back working a bit more. And the first thing we want to do is a cat and a cow. So that's just flexing and extending through the spine. Noting any awkwardness, not forcing anything like that. If you get to a point where it feels a bit stuck, just stay there and then move away from it again. And then each time you move towards it feels a bit stiff, a bit more awkward, see if you can comfortably take it further. So as we lift up from the middle of your back, tucking the pelvis forwards, feel that tension in your stomach. Pushing your hands into the floor and squeezing the arms very slightly together. Head drops down. As we extend, push your bum up in the air, lift your head up, squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then we'll wiggle those hips from side to side. So again, drawing the ribs and the pelvis towards each other. From the effort across the side of the torso here. Gentle squeeze from side to side. I'll flex and extend again, which often will feel already free and easier by now. I'll keep returning to that movement. I'm now going to press your hands, your knees and your feet into the floor. The harder you push down, the more we feel that tension through the stomach, and allow the knees to lift just off the floor. All that tension in the midsection there. Control the knees down. Relax for a second. Push those hands, knees and feet into the floor. Allow the knees to lift off. Hold that tension in the stomach. Easing it back down. And again, pressing into the floor, allow the knees to lift. And back down. That one more time, press the knees into the floor, hands into the floor, feet into the floor, knees come up. Tension in the stomach. Controlling that back down. Max it off, and again was flex and extend. Each time I do this, you should be feeling a little bit easier. Now as you press hands, knees and feet into the floor again, make sure they're a little bit closer together. But as we push in, we're feeling there's that effort through the stomach, but the idea is that we can then drive one leg straight back behind you, opposite arm straight out in front. Hold in that position. Turn down, press into the floor again. And repeat on the other side, drive the heel back. Efforts to the back of the leg and in your glutes. And the opposite arm reaches forwards. Keeping as still as you can. And return. Again. Flex and extend through the spine. Now I'll have you lying down on your back. So pressing feet into the ground, which allows those hips to come up in the air. Nice, steady movement. Feel that squeezing in your glutes, hopefully by the time you get to the top. And then pull your hips down towards the floor so you keep that strength around the middle. As soon as you touch the ground, without allowing anything to relax, press into the floor again. Hips come back up. Pulling back down. Pressing into the floor. Pulling back down. Pressing into the ground. One more time. Nice and steady. And relax. And again we'll roll back over. And sometimes because you've been lying back, you will feel a bit more stiffness in your back. So we'll do a little bit of that flex and extend again. Move those hips side to side. And then flex and extend again. And the aim is that then feels much more comfortable again. And then we want to get a bit more activation around the shoulder blades. So we're going to do a scapular press up. So the idea is you squeeze your shoulder blades together, drawing you down towards the floor. Note my arms stay completely straight. And then push into the ground, a very slight squeeze inwards with the hands. So as you get to the top, you feel the tension across the chest and a bit in the shoulder there. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Pushing back up. Squeeze them together. Reaching them back up. Nice and steady. You may feel you get more movement. You may also notice that one shoulder tends to move more easily than the other. In which case, just aim to try and keep them as similar as you can. Okay? So the main effort is in pushing into the floor as you move away. And they'll do the opposite to that with a scapular row. So you want to hold on to your elastics, and then we draw the shoulder blades back and really reach them forward. So you feel a nice stretch across your upper back as you pull forwards, drawing the shoulder blades back. There's often, you might see an accent doing it, but there's often a tendency to push downwards as well. Reach that forwards, squeezing straight back. So just keep an eye on the elastics, and you want to have that straight line all the way through the elastic, through your arms to the shoulders. Reach that forward, stretching out, squeeze those shoulder blades back. Reaching forwards, squeezing back. And rest. We'll finish off. Just flexing and extending again, which should feel much, much looser, much freer, and much stronger than it did at the start.